Excellent. It's the music.
Music has a show.
Terrible. I actually spoke to my sister-in-law on
Yes,
Sunday, who's a musician, and I said,
yes.
"You need to create us a jingle," and she said yes, but she never actually follows through with anything. So
All
maybe
right,
she will, maybe she won't. But
you've planted the seed though.
I have. She's actually come up with this really good idea for my 50th because my 50th is coming up in February. I
Yes,
want to have a Melbourne edition and an Adelaide edition.
excellent.
Strap yourselves in, Adelaide, for February. But she is creating. So she lives in Nagambie, right, which is this gorgeous little town. It's probably about 3 hours north of Melbourne, and it's got a beautiful big lake, and it's a very cute little country town. And her partner bought this lovely property. I think it used to be an old restaurant, and they basically had to half tear the bloody thing down and rebuild it again. But they've got this really cool space, like this cellar space, and they're talking about doing things like like the paint and sip that you can do
Oh,
in
yes.
stuff. Yeah.
They're
So
fun.
yeah, and so my sister-in-law Nicole, she's a musician, and she plays pretty much. She's one of these clever people who can just play any, like, you put it in front of her, she can play it. And so she's talking about doing these parties called What Instrument Am I? And like you get to try out all of these different instruments and see which one that you like. And she's puts together little whatever and you do it. So it's kind of like a paint and sip. So you do like, yeah, so you have your drinks and your
But you dabble with instruments to find what
yeah,
resonates.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's
Or
so cool.
or she could also do, I went to a retreat once and there was like a choir person that, what do you call them when the choir conductor,
Conductor?
I don't know if that's what they're called, but anyway, she teaches people how to sing basically. So she's got the little,
Oh,
and then we all like, "Oh," and then we all like start.
like a vocal coach.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
but it's like a big group and puts you into three, and you've got altos, sopranos, and that. And then she had us singing like four songs within an hour, like it was really, really cool. And so she's like, I can do that as well. Are you going somewhere, love? You off? Okay. Do you want to say hi to our 48 viewers? Look out. Strap yourselves in, ladies.
Yeah.
Here's the man, the man, the legend.
Hello. Hey, Mark.
Hi, how are you?
Good.
That's it.
All right, off.
All
He's gone
right.
camping. Bye.
Probably got
Oh, have fun.
All right. Bye. He's off camping for the
Guest
weekend.
appearance by Mr. Thorne.
Yes, yes. MT extraordinaire. Yeah.
Excellent.
So yeah, but she had a sort of, but so Nicole said I could do something like that as well, and I thought now that would be fun after a few drinks, like getting the little choir vibes going. So yeah, so that's kind of what I'm thinking. So yeah.
Hmm.
But anyway, she might create a jingle
All
for us
right,
too.
so I'm going to have to come over to one of these events, and between us, we could like create the jingle.
Yeah.
Oh my God. And we could have all like people around us to be the backup.
We could create the jingle for my 50th birthday.
Holy doly.
Oh my God, my
All
sacral just
right, high
fired
five
up
to
like
that.
the high five to that. Fired up like the 4th of July. That was what a great idea. Oh, I'm gonna tell her that.
All right, write it
That
down. It's again, we've planted the seed.
oh,
Okay.
it's happening. This is happening.
This is how you manifest people. So you've got to think it,
hmm
but then it's the taking the aligned action to make
hmm
things happen.
Yes.
So how
Yep.
many times have we just put it out there going, oh my God, that's a good idea? And then it just kind of withers away into nothing.
Mm, mm. It's the difference between desire and intention. So this is just what I
Yeah.
was doing just before I jumped on the call. Was a desire is like, you know how you've got a hose, right?
Mm.
And you've got it on like the sprinkler setting. So it's like, oh, just very gentle sort of sprinkle. That's a desire. But when you have an intention and your energy is behind it and you create action, it's like turning it to the jet and it's like and it comes out. That's the difference between desire and
Real
intention.
focused action.
Yes, yes.
Mm,
So I
okay.
like, Yeah, that's a little Andrew Pierce shadow work
Yeah.
analogy for you. He's the analogy king now.
Yes. Yes.
But
I've
yeah, I love
started
it.
on his shadow work course myself. Yes.
Oh, are you loving it?
Yeah. Well, I've
Because
only done one so far, so I've got to catch up with another one that I had a client at the time, so I couldn't join live. But
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Because my friend, my one of my mastermind participants, Cherie, is also doing it as well, and she messaged me today, and she goes, "Oh my God, the honesty versus spiritual bypassing." She goes, mind blown. It's like that willingness to be completely honest about how you actually feel about something.
Yeah.
A lot of us kind of like, we're like, oh yes, we believe in manifestation, we believe that, but but it's not happening. And it's like, well, if it's not happening, why? And it's like, is there a belief there that it happens for other people but not for you? Like, what's the
Mm-hmm.
actual
Mm-hmm.
that willingness to be honest about, yeah, well, yeah, I think it works for other people, but I don't really think it works for me. It's like, good. When
Yeah.
you're honest about it, you can actually work with that. When you're honest
Yes.
about it, you
You
can't,
can you can dig deeper and unravel the layers of what is my self-limiting belief that it works for other people but not me.
that's it, yeah. Because if you
Yeah.
bullshit yourself, you can't actually get any work done. It's like, if you give us an honest answer, good, we can work with that. That's good. Yeah, let's get to the
Yeah.
bottom of that. But if you're
Yeah.
not, you can't work on what you don't accept as true for you. Like, you
Mm,
can't work on what you don't acknowledge. So if you're not
that's it.
acknowledging that,
Yeah.
you can't work on it.
That's pretty much one of the five pillars of the adult chair work that I do
Hmm.
is acknowledging and accepting where you are right now.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
it's because we all come up with excuses and we've all got layers of why we are the way we are and blame and
Hmm.
excuses and blame, right? we
Yeah.
can we can layer them all on top of each other, and underneath all that is us.
Hmm.
But taking ownership of, well, yes, I do have self-limiting beliefs. I had a crappy childhood, for instance, or I had trauma that I'm getting through, and that is the way I am. And it's like no one's blaming,
Mm.
no one's judging, but
Hmm.
it's acknowledging and accepting that you are where you are,
Hmm.
that's where it starts. So then you can start unpeeling the layers.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
It's about like, yeah, that, like, where you are may not be your fault. Like, your trauma is not your fault. The
No.
experience that you've had is not your fault, but you are responsible for moving forward from it.
Yes.
Otherwise, you are just going to stay in your past and you'll never have the life that you want, which
Yeah.
I'm assuming is not staying in that.
Yeah.
So,
But
yeah,
no one wants to be defined by their traumas.
no,
I
no,
wouldn't think. I mean, I don't.
no. I've actually got a little quote here from Carl Jung. I
Yes.
am not what happened to me, I am what I choose to become.
Right.
You are what you do, not what you say you'll do. I think that's the second quote, but I like that too. You are what you do, not what you say you'll do. Oh,
Yeah.
that's powerful. That puts it.
But then that comes back to the aligned action. We all say we're going to do stuff, but what are
Yeah.
you actually going to follow through with?
Exactly,
Mm.
exactly. Yep.
Mm.
It's all very juicy
Oh,
stuff.
it's all good stuff.
So you were saying that you had a coaching client. How is your business going?
It's going good. I've actually backed off just a little bit because I've been going through some stuff myself, and my day job is actually quite busy as well at the moment. So I always love. I had a tarot session this morning. I've got another one booked with next week. So I love connecting with people.
Hmm.
Doing sessions one on one with people is my jam. I just love it. I love that connection.
Hmm.
I honestly feel like I can channel stuff and deliver it to people in what they need to hear at the
Yep.
time to help
Hmm.
them move forward and acknowledge, hold space for people.
Hmm.
I just love that stuff. So that is it. The more I do it, the more I think, yes, this is what I'm here to do. So
Yep.
I just love that. Yes, I'd love some more clients. So hit me up, peeps. I
Mm.
do tarot and oracle card readings. If you just want to know what the universe wants you to know,
Hmm.
I do one-on-one coaching, going deep with, so my modality is called the adult chair. So if you haven't heard of the adult chair, you can Google it. There's theadultchair.com. It's an American-based modality founded by a lady called Michelle Chalfont, who I went and uh, learned under last year.
Hmm.
Amazing. But it's very similar to lots of stuff we've talked about before with other people, like with Wayne Dyer stuff and Carl Jung
Hmm.
stuff and shadow work, parts work, inner
Yeah, yeah,
child
yeah.
work. It's consolidating
Mm-hmm.
a lot of theories from a lot, or practices from a lot of people, and really honing in and getting to. It's very spiritual work too. It's energetics. It's very
Hmm.
energy based,
Yeah, yeah.
because like a blocked emotion is blocked energy.
Hmm.
So if you can get the energy flowing,
Hmm.
you can move through things a lot quicker.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
And here's
because we don't. Oh, sorry. Yeah,
and this is the hot tip when it comes to
yeah.
personal development, spirituality stuff. It's all the freaking same thing,
Mm,
but different frameworks. And it's whatever appeals to you, whatever sings to your sense of logic or your soul
hmm
is what's going to work for you. So all of it really is the same thing, but it's just different ways of looking at it, coming at it from different
Yeah.
areas. So you look at shadow work, internal family systems, adult chair. I learned a lot through Remy Pearson with the Coaching Institute, and she talks
Yeah.
about like the tribal cycle and the self-esteem triad. And it's all the same thing, but it's just different frameworks of looking through
Yeah. It's just
just whatever.
packaged a little bit differently.
Exactly. And it's
Yeah.
all about like what sings to you the most
Mm,
and what appeals to you the most and what gets you there the most. So yeah, so if it's the adult chair that you resonate with, then go with Millsy, go with Michelle. If it's like if the word shadow work goes, oh, that sounds good, do that. Like internal
mm,
family systems. It's interesting. IFS, how it actually sounds and what it actually is are quite two different things. When you think internal family systems, you kind of think, oh, I don't know what that means. It doesn't really sell it what it actually is.
yeah.
It's basically parts work.
So tell us, what is IFS?
IFS that was created from Richard Schwartz, and it's basically we are all parts. So
Hmm
it's like we all have multiple personalities, but not looking at it from a pathological point of view. We all have different parts of ourselves. And he's really interesting, like in the fact that he says that we have, I'm trying to remember, it was probably about 8 months ago, I really dived into it. We've got organizers, we've got firefighters, and all of these parts are there to protect us. And it's usually our child self. So, like, if we're triggered by something, the firefighter will come in and go, right, clear the decks, clear the decks, clear the decks, all to protect this small child part of ourselves. And it's all about recognizing the parts of us
mm
that are being activated,
hmm
and instead of extraditing them and judging them and trying to suppress them, it's about getting curious about those parts of ourselves and giving them space to have to have an opinion.
hmm
Why is that part there? What
mm
is it trying to protect us from? What does it feel like its job is? And when you really go into it and you sort of learn learn the frameworks. Obviously, I haven't done any IFS training, but I've read he's got a book called No Bad Parts, which is a good book. And he has done, if you look on YouTube, there is heaps of IFS demonstrations
Okay.
where he talks people through the process of
Mm
talking to the different parts. And it's really, really interesting. It's about giving those parts space and showing that part that you actually, the parts that are protecting you, they don't want to be there. Like they don't want to be on
mm
guard all the time. So it's about allowing that part to be heard and to go, you know what? How old do you think this part of, Amelia is? And that part will often say, "Oh, well, I think she's 5 years old." And it's like, well,
mm
Amelia's actually, 40. How old are you now? 48?
Hey,
Yeah. I was almost going to say that. What? So, she's 48. And that part's actually shocked because it's been protecting this childlike
that
part.
is All of that you've just said is the adult chair stuff, the
Oh,
inner child. That's exactly what I've been trained in, all of that stuff. So
wow.
again, so that just shows you that it's just been packaged and called something
Mhm.
different, but that's identically to what I've been
Yeah.
trained in to do. I
Yeah.
love it. I know.
And
And
the way, oh, sorry, the
no,
way that Richard, um, how he came across this IFS is that he was talking to, like, he did family therapy. So like family therapy would be like when the child and the parents were in the room, and they'd get, I can't remember exactly how it all works, but he sort of translated families into the internal brain system, as in like parts of the brain. And it all came about when he was helping a girl that was self-harming, and he battled with this part of herself that was cutting herself for like 3 hours. Oh, in this session, he was trying to talk it down and bash it down and da 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 da. And this part of her finally submitted and went, okay, I won't anymore. And then the next week, she rocks up on the door and she's got this massive cut down her face. And he's like, right, this obviously is not working. So instead of battling it, he
mm,
inquired about it, and that's how he came up with this system. Like, it was
mm,
really interesting. Like, he managed people who had like bulimia and like all of these kind of self-harming
yeah,
behaviors, and that's how it all came about. So it's very interesting.
yeah.
Mm.
So the way Michelle teaches it is when we've experienced trauma or just we fragment into lots of tiny pieces of ourselves.
Hmm.
And like we're a 500-piece jigsaw puzzle. There's hundreds of pieces that make us up as a whole. There's a resistant piece. There's um, a sad piece. But it's all about protection,
Hmm.
and it's all there to keep us safe.
Hmm.
So the parts of us that had to keep the younger version of ourselves, it's like they've been enlisted for life, and they still think that you're stuck in that time, that this
Hmm.
happened to you when you were 8, 9, 10, whatever years old, or beyond, whatever. But it's all safety. And so you never shame your parts. They're all there for your protection.
Yeah.
So you always thank that part for
Hmm.
taking on that duty,
Yeah.
updating that part to say, I'm not that child I was. I am now a capable, confident 48-year-old woman who has the skills and the knowledge now to do that for myself. I don't
Yeah.
need you, the firefighter, to jump in and do that for me. I
Hmm.
can retire you.
Hmm.
Would you like to be assigned a new role, which can be like my cheerleader now?
Yeah.
Or would you like to um, disappear off into the heavens?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like you actually have a dialogue with this part. And when you get into that, it's almost like a meditative state where you talk into this part, and you can like directly understand from it what it needs in return to be able to do that update that it needs to do.
Yeah, yeah. And
It's beautiful
you,
stuff.
it is. And when you tell that part to stand down, you ask it, what are you afraid will happen if you stand down? And it will tell you, say like, well,
Yeah.
she'll be left unprotected. Like she'll be left vulnerable. She'll get hurt
Mm,
again. And
mm,
it's like, well, she's actually 48 now, so she
mm.
can handle herself. And like that, the sense of relief that that part gets
Yeah. So,
from that.
I had no idea. I didn't
Yeah,
know. I
yeah.
was stuck in the past, because when a part of you gets fragmented off, and it's there, but it's not part of your wholeness,
Mm,
it stays stuck. It's stuck.
mm,
It does not move on. So you're connecting with it again and updating it, and then
mm,
inviting it to come back to your whole in a new role,
mm.
or letting it go with love.
Yeah, love it. It's beautiful
Mm.
stuff. It's the unconscious, that subconscious soup is like,
Ah,
it runs deep and the current is quick. And so yeah, it's really good to dive
mm,
into this stuff and really
mm,
get to the duck's guts of where all of this stuff comes from
mm,
as well. Not only to not logically think about it, because logically think is not feeling. So you've
mm.
really got to go into that sort of
Yeah,
meditative state and feel your way out of it, because
yeah,
just understanding but not believing, understanding but not feeling is not enough. You've got to feel your way out of it.
that's it. Yeah. Like something Michelle teaches is always, you drop below the chin. Take
Mm-hmm.
your head out of the equation, because your head is there to keep you the same,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
but the
It's safety
body,
and sameness. Yeah.
yeah, safety and sameness, exactly. So the body is where you get your intuitive hits, your inspiration, and
Mm-hmm.
just that sacral hit of knowing what's true.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Your brain will trick you. Your brain
Mm-hmm.
will do whatever it can to keep you safe, but your
Absolutely.
body will deliver the truth.
Yeah, your body has got this infinite knowledge that doesn't have any consciousness around it like our brain. Just because we can't think it doesn't mean to say that it doesn't have a consciousness
Mm.
there. And it's like a consciousness that's making our heart beat and our lungs breathe and cells dividing and all this stuff. It just knows what to do.
Mm.
And so it knows what to do, and we feel it as well. So yeah, it's about trusting that feeling. But it's also very interesting dilemma sometimes when people are like, well, is it fear holding me back, or is it intuition telling me no?
Yeah,
That's interesting as well. So you got to feel the difference between that as well.
yeah,
So
I
yeah,
know. All
very
stuff a coach can help you through.
absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely. Yep, no, there's definitely
yeah.
truth in your body. Oh, so I got my bestie calling me. I got a we had a blackout in Upwey on the other side of Upwey last night, and so my bestie had to come over and drop all of her food in my fridge because she didn't want to lose any of it. So yeah, so anyway, if I get a knock on the door, we'll have to hit pause and I'll have to let her in. So
Yeah,
she,
yeah, of course.
so yeah, so she's just
All right,
probably.
just give me the sign. I'll be
Yep,
poised if you need it.
excellent.
All right. Well, shall we jump into our scenario then?
Let's do it.
All right, let's
Let's
go,
do it.
people.
What is
So
that train wreck anonymous up to this week?
the old anonymous. Well, anonymous
Yeah.
has a 15-year-old daughter.
Oh, know what that's like.
Yeah, I've got a 16 and a 13-year-old daughter.
Mm-hmm.
You've got, is Lila
17. Yep.
17 now?
17.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
Yep.
we can relate to good old
Mm-hmm.
Anon on this
Mm-hmm.
one.
Absolutely.
So I'm just looking at my other screen here. What Anonymous has asked us is, well, her dilemma is that my 15-year-old daughter and I fight constantly. She pushes every button I have, and I'm either yelling or walking on eggshells. My
Mm-hmm.
husband says I'm being too sensitive, but I feel disrespected. Could
Mm-hmm.
this be more about me than her?
Mm.
So I don't know. If you've got a teenage daughter in the house, I think this is a familiar scenario, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Any teenager in the house. And
Yeah.
yeah, I think we can cut this really short and say, yeah, it's your teenager's problem. You're completely right. Kick her out. Done. Job done. See you next week, guys.
Yeah. Okay. Bye. Yeah, I definitely feel the yelling, or like, you know how you want to wake them up in the morning, you go, sweetie, hi, hi. Like you don't want them to wake up in the immediate rage.
Yep.
But
Yep. Yep.
so that's eggshelling is
Mm-hmm.
where it's like fawning, isn't it? When you're walking on eggshells, it's the fawn response.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's also a little bit though, like I used to hate when my mum would come, like usually I used to get myself up for school, no worries at all. But church on Sundays, I bloody hated.
Yeah.
And mum could not get me out of bed for church for love nor money because I did not want to go. But I would hate it when she would like fling open the door. Come on, Kerry, stare, you stump. She'd go, and I'd just, oh, like every fiber in my being would just like reject it because it was like I did not want to go. So I know what it's like to be like bombarded, like when you get me up. So I prefer not to do that with my children. Luckily, my daughter is now at a phase where she gets herself up and things, and as does my son, which is good. But yeah, I would normally just go, yeah, I would be the la la la, but just from a place of I know what it's like to
Mm.
be woken up horribly.
Yeah.
And it's not cool. Yeah, yeah.
Like having the sheets ripped off you, like
Yeah.
so you're just on your
Yeah,
bed going, "Ah."
yeah, yeah.
That's not a good start to the day, is it?
Not a good start to the day.
No.
I know, no.
But okay, so let's think 15-year-olds.
Mm-hmm.
So emotions,
Mm-hmm.
hormones,
Mm-hmm.
where I'd say I'm doing the up and down wave with my hand. So we've got the 1 minute you're awesome, the next minute you're feeling anxiety, stress, hormones,
Mm-hmm.
that
Yep.
constant need to want to try and fit in.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep. kids are all over the place and they really don't have any, they're still learning how to emotionally regulate themselves. So,
Yes.
and kids are going to be their full throttle, authentic selves at home because that is their safe place.
Yes.
So you are going to cop it from all angles at kids, but this really isn't about her and how to fix her. It's about what can you do, Anonymous?
Mm.
What can you do? So nothing's going to trigger you like your kids, right?
Right.
Because your
Or your
kids,
husband.
yeah, just that too. But your kids are going to cause you to remember, and it's interesting that we're just talking about how the body, how the body responds to things like so going below the neck and feeling into your body when you're triggered by something, right? It's your body telling you, your body's remembering a time when you were hurt, when you needed to protect yourself, when there was injustice, when something wasn't right. So when you're triggered, you automatically feel that contraction in your body straight away, like oh, like, and you'll be triggered into anger, you'll be triggered into anxiety, you'll be triggered into whatever it is that's not going to serve you. And your kids will do that more than any other person on the planet because through them, you remember all of your own shit of when you grew
Right.
up. So you're going to constantly be triggered by your kids. And one of the things that I was definitely triggered by raising kids was the things that they were doing that I would never in a friggin' million years ever get away with. Like
Mm.
I would cop a backhander or I'd get yelled at or I'd be ignored or shamed or ridiculed or whatever it was around it. And they would, yeah, if she would to do something, getting away with it, which is something that I would never. So that kind of how dare you, like that anger, that disrespect, how dare you disrespect me? That is what would be triggered in me a lot of the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But part of you also, well, part of when my daughter gets away with stuff that I couldn't get away with, I almost want to go like, well played, like
Yeah.
because if only I got away with what you're getting away with now, I'm almost like, oh, she's living the life I couldn't live, or she
Mm.
doesn't have the restraints around her that maybe shaped a part
Mm.
of me
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
that way.
Mm.
So it's interesting, isn't it, that
Yeah.
they say the next generation always lives better than the one before, or something like that. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
so I guess it's part of that. The reins may have loosened off with each.
Yeah, yeah. So there's
With each.
definitely two aspects to
Mm,
this sort of thing. So remembering that your triggers, the things that you are triggered by,
mm-hmm,
when you feel strong, intense emotion, which is what a trigger is, and often involuntary
mm-hmm,
emotion,
mm-hmm,
it is guiding you back to the parts of yourself that need attention or need healing.
mm-hmm,
So that's key number one. So when you are triggered, when you feel intense discomfort around emotion, it is guiding you back to the parts of yourself that need attention or need healing. And number two with emotions. So emotions are really useful for that to guide you back to those places, but we should never act from our emotions and we should never speak from our emotions unless it's with someone to validate, your feelings and if you're processing them, but you shouldn't actually try and communicate from an emotional place because if you
like when you're highly charged.
exactly because
Yeah,
when you speak from
yeah.
the peak of the emotion, licorice all sorts is going to come out and
Oh
you're
yeah,
going to say or do the wrong thing and you can't take it back.
that's it.
So that's one side of the equation. On the other side of the equation, we have the child. Now, the child always remembering, and I know this because my son is autistic with intellectual disability, and we've had to go into positive behavioural support. And the key thing that opened up my eyes, one of the first things that I was taught was all behaviour is an attempt at communication. So,
Mm-hmm,
what is she trying to communicate? So sometimes as parents, we get so caught up in the delivery of what
mm-hmm.
our kids are trying to tell us that we don't actually look past the delivery and see what the underlying attempt at communication is. So, say, for example, like Lila's like, I'd say Lila because that's my daughter's name, you never let me go anywhere. And so I could get caught up. I said, "Don't talk to me like that, young lady. I'm just trying to do what's best for you." La 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 la. I could get caught up in that.
Mm-hmm.
Or I could hear the underlying message of you don't let me go anywhere. What's she trying to communicate? I want freedom. I want more freedom. I want more autonomy to be able to do what I want to do. And we're okay. So that you can work with. So when you can get past the language and
Yeah.
get to the actual what they're trying to communicate,
Mm-hmm.
that's when you can start having a conversation. And when you don't react, and that's the other thing too, when you're speaking from the peak of your emotions and you react, you no longer become a safe place for them because they're going to think that you're not listening or they need to manage your emotions.
Yeah.
So I never told my mum half the shit of what was going on in my life because I knew that it'd be a flip out
They would go straight into
yeah,
fix it mode
yeah,
or
yeah,
turn
or
you off.
she'd shut it down or she'd judge it or whatever. And so I just never shared anything because it didn't feel safe to, because I'd be judged
Mm-hmm.
around it, shamed around it, told it was wrong, whatever. So yeah, if you can manage your triggers and actually listen to the underlying thing of what they're asking, and obviously teach respect, but not in that moment.
Mm-hmm.
Because that moment everything's like emotionally charged, and when the emotions are high, intelligence
If
is
they
low.
feel like they're getting a lecture when they're just trying to communicate,
Exactly, like
if
when they're
they're just
emotionally charged, nothing's going to go in.
no,
So yeah, like when emotions are high, intelligence is low. No one's
right,
listening.
yeah,
So yeah. So don't try and teach them respect in that moment. Try and hear the thing that she is asking or she's trying to communicate and manage your own triggers. Jefferson Fisher, fantastic.
oh, love him,
We love Jeff. We love Jeff.
yeah,
He's got a book. I think we spoke about it last time, didn't we? The next conversation. Really, really good book. So it's on Spotify. If you've got Spotify
okay,
Premium, it's on there. So Jefferson Fisher, for those of you playing along at home, is a attorney, and he's really, really good. He's got a big social media following about how to communicate with to a narcissist, to a this, to a that, how to what to say basically, which is where a lot of us get stuck. We get all caught up in feeling, and we like blah, 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 we don't know what we want to say, right? So he says, when you are feeling that emotion rise in your body, he says, let your first words be your breath. So instead of, because when we're triggered, we feel intensely uncomfortable and we want to offload that discomfort as quickly as possible so our nervous system can regulate as quickly as possible. So, daughter will say, Mum, you never let me do this. And I'm like, yeah, you don't do it because you're always on your frigging phone. Like that, we immediately hit back across the net. Oh, we feel better, sort of thing. But instead of doing that, and then that just shuts your child down. So instead of doing that, take the breath. And what that allows you to do is it goes from that amygdala, reptilian, need
mm-hmm.
for comfort part of your brain, that survival part of your brain. Your thought processes go from survival to prefrontal cortex, logic, strategy, what it wants to say. So when you actually don't hit back, take that breath, allow that peak of emotion to peak and then dissipate, then you can speak. And you will find that your more genuine self will come out once you let that wave of emotion crash. Yeah. Does that make sense? Are
oh,
we
for sure,
we
and
still
that
on track, aren't we? Yeah.
and that comes into the next part I was going to say is the prefrontal cortex. It is shown that children do not have one. You
No.
don't develop it until you're around 23, 24, 25 years of age.
Yeah.
And your prefrontal cortex is your emotional regulation, it's your decision making, it's all the skills that we have as adults that children just do not have.
No, that's why children do stupid shit all the
They
time.
don't have that ability to make good decision making skills. They just don't have it.
Yeah.
So that, and the other thing that I wanted to mention is a course that I did. It was a practical parenting course I did a few years ago. Is every child has an emotional bucket, and they're going to find some way to fill that bucket, and it's either going to be resourceful or unresourceful.
Ooh.
So being an emotional bucket being like validation or like being told that they're, getting, what am I trying to think of? Sorry,
Good
brain fog
girl.
setting in.
Yeah. Told that they're a good girl. Like,
Yeah, yeah, that kind of thing. So it's attention. It's attention. They want attention.
yeah.
They don't know how to ask for good attention sometimes. So they'll start getting it in negative ways. Like if they are being a good, they're unloading the dishwasher, they've made their bed, they've done this, they've done that, and nothing, they've got no acknowledgement for it.
Mm.
But then they see their younger brother has, spilt a drink and made a mess, and they're getting attention,
Mm.
albeit negative attention, because they're
Yeah.
getting told this. Then the other child will then start going, oh, well, that's what I need to do to get you to look
Yeah.
at me.
Mm.
And then
Mm.
they're going to start acting up and they're going to start pushing buttons
Yeah.
because one way or another, they want your attention, they want your focus.
Mhm.
And if you don't fill their bucket in a good way, they will seek it in a negative way.
Yeah. Yeah.
So spending time filling your child's bucket one way or another throughout the day
Yeah.
is a beautiful thing to do. Like if I feel like because I've got three kids, sometimes I feel like, oh, I've spent a lot of time running this one round to appointments because, they've had whatever's going on. And we've had that time in the car to connect and to talk and
Mm.
just be together. And then I've driven the other one to netball and I've watched them play and they've known my eyes are on them. And then we might get an ice cream in the car on the way home or something. And so I've connected with them. And then I'm exhausted and I'm wiped out and I'm like, oh, I need
Yeah.
to go to bed. Meanwhile, my other child is like, what about me? I'm going
Yeah.
to start a fight.
Yeah. 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 Exactly.
So
Yeah.
it's just just think about your kids' emotional buckets. Just fill them one way so that they don't look for negative ways to get that
Yeah.
filled. So 15-year-olds, they don't necessarily know how to ask for a cuddle anymore, or they don't even recognize what they're doing half the time. They just know they want your attention still. They're
Yeah.
they're, they're
They're
still they're
meanly being
struggling.
messy.
Yeah, yeah, they're struggling to like be a grown up and an adult at school or at sport or with friends. With their circles are getting bigger
Mhm.
and they're experiencing people that and different expectations. They might have been in the workforce now, so there's different expectations on them. So
Yeah.
being able to still give them a hug and make them feel valued and almost like baby them sometimes if it feels right to do that because they still are a child and they still do need that
Yeah.
closeness.
Yeah, they still need co-regulation to a certain point. Like
Right.
they're still looking to us, and they're always looking to us really on how we handle ourselves. We are
Right.
always being the example. So I had a very there's another really good book called Misconnection, or what's it called? By Justin Olson. Let me just see if I can find it. Miss Miss. Where is it in my library? Oh, there we are. Misconnection by Jason Coulston. So that was a really good book. So this is before I started doing the coaching work. Was I read this because I felt like probably when my daughter hit probably 12, 13 years old, I really felt her pulling away from us. Like she was in her room all the time, phone in hand, door closed, all things. And I just thought this is just a natural, this is it. She's turning into a teenager. This is the natural progression. And for some reason, I grabbed that book and started reading and started listening to it. And it was like, they actually need you more than ever in those times. They actually don't want you to pull away. They want you to be interested. And even though they give you the hand a lot of the times, they need you to know that you're there, because there was a brilliant analogy that I think I used in my parenting program that you did with me last year before. And it was this brilliant analogy around, imagine kids at the pool and they love swimming in the deep end, and they'll like, they'll dive into the deep end and they'll splash around for ages, and then they start getting tired. And then they're like, oh, this is deep. Oh, this is no longer safe. And so they paddle to the edge of the pool and they're like, and it's like, you are their edge of the pool.
Mm.
So they will venture out into the world. They will see how things are. They will navigate their friendships. They will stuff things up. But you are their safe edge of the pool. They will always go to you for safety, and they'll always go to you as the example of how to handle things.
Right.
And we need to remember that even when they're being turds. Like we need to remember that we are their safe
Right.
edge of the pool.
And they look to us to model emotional regulation. Like
Mm.
if they do something to press our buttons and then we explode and we're all over them, that's setting up a pattern that they're only going to repeat themselves and it's going to keep recurring again and again. But if
Mm.
we show the breath and the calm,
Mhm.
if we're triggered, we can shelve that for the moment and come back to that in our own time
Yes.
to see what is that telling me, what part of
That's
myself is
very,
appearing
very
right now that
good.
needs my attention so that I can shine a light on it to let it go,
Yes.
shelve it, come back to it, because that's not the time when your daughter is
Yeah. They
losing
need
their
you.
shit in front of
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
Just mental note or jot it down and come back to it. But if we show them, like, we're the adult, let's face it, we are the adult. If our ego, which has just been bruised because they've said something obnoxious,
Hmm.
if we then spin back and it's two adolescents battling each other, there's really no winner.
Mm.
But if
Mm.
we go, okay, I can see what's happening here,
Hmm.
shelve that, breathe,
Hmm.
okay, dear,
Yeah.
be there calm when
Hmm.
they're storming, when you're there calm, they're learning. You might not know it and they won't know it what's happening either,
Hmm.
but it's teaching them how to behave. And
Yeah.
it's a boundary too, isn't it?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like I won't be spoken to that way. I'm not going to
Yeah.
engage.
And like if they're hit back with and like Ashton especially, like his
Mm,
emotional regulation, and he doesn't have the forthwith to be able to be reasoned with when it comes to emotional processing, like because he
mm,
just like his I think when we tested his IQ when he was having all of his tests done, it was like 42 or something along those lines.
mm.
So you can't teach him how to emotionally regulate, but he will come out with the most abusive words and will f you and f that, and that's the way that he processes it and gets it out of his body. And it's like you don't fight that fight in the moment, but I would just say, well, that's unkind. And so you sort of tell him that, like, that's not the appropriate way to do it, but I'm not going to make a big deal out of it right now.
Mm.
But yeah, you can never teach when they're in those heights of
Right.
emotion. So yeah, if the 15-year-old daughter was to say something, so well, that's unkind. But I can see what it is that you're really asking is you want more freedom.
Yeah.
You want some freedom to go out with your friends. I get it. Let's see what you want and what I will find acceptable, and let's meet in the middle somewhere.
Let's find a compromise that we can both live with.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, exactly. So you get what you want, I get what I want. We meet in the middle. So yeah, I remember just recently, like me and my daughter, we like since I've done a lot of this work, I and manage my own emotions and stuff. We're actually really good. It was actually funny the other day. She goes, "Am I your favorite person, Mum?" And I said, "You know what? I think you might be." Like,
Oh,
so yeah,
that's
so we
nice.
I feel really close to my 17-year-old daughter,
That's
which is an
nice.
absolute gift and blessing, but it hasn't come without doing a fair bit of work. But yeah, just recently she wanted to go to in Melbourne. We've got this big festival called Moomba. And
Hmm.
it sort of happens. I think it happens in March. I think so. It's summer. It's like cool. It's like festival. There's carnival atmosphere in the city, and she'd said through the week that she wants to go to Moomba with her friends on Sunday, and I'm like, that's okay. That's cool. Anyway, she says, "Oh, I'm going at 5." And I'm like, "What?"
Oh,
like,
really?
I'm like, no, 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 no. I said, you can go to Moomba with your friends and catch the train through the day, but I said, you are not going there at night time and you're not catching public transport at night time to come back home again. I said, no, that's not happening. And there was a big brouhaha, and she ended up sleeping at a friend's house. And oh my God, I have to say, all of my worst qualities came out in that moment because
I
I was,
remember.
yeah, I was like, she was going to sneak out. That's it. I turned into
Was that
like,
when you were messaging us going, oh my God?
yeah. I thought she's gonna do the wrong thing. How do I keep track of her? She's gonna keep her phone home. I'm not gonna be able to track her on Life 360. Like,
Yeah.
oh, it was just like I turned into a crazy person, and it was so funny. And the next day, like, yeah, I just picked Lila up and I just went, "Sorry, darling." She's like, "Yeah, it's okay." She's just like, she goes, you just went crazy." I'm like, "I know," but it was this fear of like she's not going to be safe, and I thought of all of the sneaky shit that I would have done,
Yeah.
thinking and expecting that she would have done it. But she stayed put. She was good, and she was absolutely fine with staying at a friend's place. But yeah, it's funny
I
what you.
remember us talking about there's nothing more determined than a teenage girl that isn't getting what she wants.
Yeah, exactly. But on the other thing too, the other thing that I'd heard as well is like, um, strict parents create sneaky kids.
Yes.
Yeah,
Because they'll
no.
find a way one way or another, either with your knowledge or without it,
Hmm.
if they're resourceful enough.
Yeah, yeah.
So is the rubber band thing, is it the rubber band analogy? The more you try and pull them back, the more it's going to snap back the other way.
Oh, I like that.
Um,
Mm,
yeah.
mm,
So
mm.
being able to compromise, or I don't know, do you feel like a strict parent is someone who was probably super, like, had a super strict childhood themselves, and
Mm.
to them that's normal and that's the expectation and that's what you do. So when if they've got a child that's trying to
Mm.
um,
Possibly. I mean,
pull
it
the rubber band.
depends on your own perception, I think. Like sometimes you could have like parents who were really, really like loose and didn't give a shit where their kids were, and so they're like, oh, I'm not. I remember how much trouble I got into, and dangerous situations that I ended up in. So I'm going to be really strict on my kids. So it all depends on
Mm,
perception, really. But anyway, to help Anonymous's dilemma,
right.
we would say, yeah, what is your child actually trying to communicate through the behavior? And
Hmm.
learn to manage your own triggers and let your first words be your breath, and
Hmm.
learn how to, yeah, deal with those triggers at a later date, because those triggers are trying to direct you to unhealed parts of yourself that if you sat with, you would be able to kind of reparent that part of yourself.
Exactly. Yeah. So reparenting ourselves while we're parenting our teenagers can be
Mm,
quite healing too. That's quite a healing journey, that because it's been reflected back to us,
mm-hmm.
and that's an opportunity for our own growth.
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah.
And Remy Pearson said something very interesting to me, and you mentioned it before the call started, was
Mm.
your triggers being your spiritual teachers.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I love it when it's said like that, like your triggers are your spiritual teachers, like they are here to teach you. And that
And
can be really triggering if you don't know how to do it, but that's
yes,
when you get a coach, like you
it
get a
can be
coach.
scary.
Yeah.
It can be quite overwhelming and scary, but it doesn't have to be if you've got the right mindset to explore it and work out why it's coming up for you.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so it is definitely a spiritual opportunity.
Mm,
Let's
mm,
put it that way. It's an opportunity for us to look at what's my own belief around whatever it happens to be,
yeah.
and is that because it was ingrained in me, or from my childhood, and is it coming up because I don't align with it anymore, but it's what I know. There's so many
Yeah.
questions and ways to go on that, but again, that's why I said put that aside and deal with that in your own time, because that's not the time to deal
Yeah.
when your daughter's raging in front of you.
Yeah. Yeah.
um
But that's when it's really good to get a coach in on this sort of thing
yes,
as well, because they
yes,
will be able to pre-frame you diving into this stuff in such a way that it's not going to be so scary. Because when people just say, just feel your feelings, you're like, I'm going to feel my feelings. What if I never freaking get out of the feelings again? If I feel that, it feels so big and so scary. I
if
don't
I
know if I'm
start
going to
crying,
feel
I
it.
might not ever stop, that kind of thing.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And it's like when you're actually set up with the appropriate frameworks, like emotions are like waves. They build, they peak, and then they always crash. Waves never stay like this. They always, and same with emotions. So when you're given these frameworks to start exploring your emotions with initially. Like you can actually go into it with it at it from a place of like willingness to want to go there and curiosity about
Curiosity. Yeah.
where these feelings are coming from. So it's
Mm.
really good to, and having a coach there as well, it just helps to hold your hand through it as well. Like the whole haunted house analogy, like if you're in a haunted house, it's dark, you're hearing noises and things going bump, and you're there by yourself, it's so much scary. But when you've got someone with you with a
Mm.
torch who's going to go in there with it, like there's like I always remember me and like Liz Nielsen going into the haunted house in Adelaide together. Like, I would
Yeah,
never do
yeah.
it myself, but when you've got someone there to hold hands and scream with,
It's
like,
easier just to shut the door and walk past. But if you know that there is growth and expansion and opportunity on the other side of it,
mhm, yeah,
compelling you to go through because you know it's for your own benefit to do that, having someone there, handheld, torch, let's
mhm,
do this.
yeah,
It's definitely, yeah, I wouldn't want to do it
yeah.
alone.
And I could throw Liz in front first and say, I remember a Simpsons episode. Homer was like, "It's like, don't eat me. I've got three kids. Eat them."
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
funny. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, the old I did a little reparenting moment myself just recently when I signed up for this shadow work program. And it was like it's more money. Like us coaches, we're always frigging spending money on ourselves, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's a never-ending pit, but
Right.
we've got this thirst. We need to know everything. And so I signed up for this shadow work program, and I was starting to feel this anxiety within me. And it's like, oh, fuck, it's more money, it's more money. But like, I really felt like I really resonated with how it was taught. And I knew that it was the right thing to do. Like, I knew it was going to give me the confidence that I felt that I was
You
lacking.
felt that in your body, but your head was trying to talk you out of it.
Yes,
There you
exactly.
go.
My head was going, oh, but you're going to stuff it up
But this,
again.
but that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're a manifesting generator, so you don't finish what you start, and you're not going to get your value for money, and like la 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 la, and like all of these things. And so I thought, right, stop this. And I remember I was in bed, I sat up, and I'm like, right, where is this coming from? And so
Mm-hmm.
just feeling into the feeling, going, right, what is this trying to tell me? It's saying you're going to fuck it up. It's saying that you're not going to see it through. You're not going to get your money's worth. It's just going to be another waste of money. You're not going to get the skills that you want out of it. You've spent money before and you've wasted money. You're in so much debt already. Like all of these things were coming up. And I'm like, okay, why am I thinking these things? And like, what stories have I been told?
Yeah.
And then thinking back to your childhood, the things that you were told was don't expect too much, don't be disappointed when it doesn't all work out, that sort of that. I always growing up, it was like you'll always like never expect too much. Like it's okay to
Like stay in your lane or know your place,
yeah,
that kind of
yeah,
thing.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like
Who are
yeah,
you to want these things?
exactly. Don't be so clever. Like don't think that
Mm.
you're above us, kind of thing. Don't reach too far because your hand will get chopped off. Like that sort of always
Mm.
overly cautious. And then when you hear that dialogue, you think, this is where it's all coming from. So yeah,
It's
I had
definitely got an energy of lack and fear about it, doesn't it?
exactly. It's like, yeah, don't
Mm.
overreach, stay in your lane. You're not that clever. There are other people that are clever. You're not that clever. Like, who are you to want
Mm-hmm.
this? All of this sort of thing. And I'm like, okay, so, all right, so I'm back there. I'm back
Mm.
there at like, 6, 7 years old. I'm back there.
Dang
What
it.
what did I need to hear
Yeah.
instead? And so what I needed to hear was you are allowed to want more. You
Mm-hmm.
are a go-getter. You are ambitious. You are allowed to be ambitious. Reach long and reach freaking far because that is what you're here to do. You are here for impact. And once you start getting on that train, and you're like, you are here for impact. You are here to have a voice. People are interested in what you have to say. You are going to help so many people if you nail this. You are going to finish everything that you intend on starting because you've got that fire in your belly to do it because you are a freaking go-getter, Kerry. So go for it, grab it by the balls, don't let it go, and see it through and squeeze the last drop of value out of it because this is what you friggin' do. And I came out, I'm just like, yeah. Like, just
Sign me up.
so yeah, that's reparenting yourself. So going
Yeah.
back to the times when you were told all of the bullshit and then telling yourself what you needed to hear in those times and then coming out of that is like, it's so powerful. And I've never had those thoughts again since.
Wonderful.
In that particular aspect, anyway.
That's it.
Yeah, interesting.
Amazing.
It's
Yeah.
really.
Well
So
done.
we've
Well
spoken
done,
on.
you.
Yeah, thank you. I try. That's doing the work.
That is the work.
Yeah,
The work.
the
Yeah.
work. Yeah.
The inner work.
Yeah. Do you
Yeah.
think we've solved Anonymous's problem? I think
Yeah.
I'm for a coaching session.
Husband says I'm being too sensitive, but I feel disrespected.
I think, yeah, I think
I
women,
think the truth is somewhere in the middle of that, right?
yeah. And I think women carry the burden of children, the burden of judgment around children's behavior more. So it probably feels bigger for her in the
Mm,
fact that, like, oh, you've raised a disrespectful child.
mm,
And I think that's a whole other conversation
mm,
about that. But yeah, I certainly felt, especially like Lila was going through some difficult times at one stage, and yeah, people were like, "Oh well, she's always on her phone, isn't she? She's always on that iPad or whatever." And it's like, why
judgment, judgment, judgment,
why is
judgment.
this
Yeah.
directed at me? I have got a husband as well. How about blaming him for what? I
Mm,
just felt like it was constantly on me. You haven't
mm,
done enough. You're not good enough. And so I feel like that's definitely a woman thing.
mm. And don't forget when you're triggered,
Mm,
you see things differently. So what I'm hearing from that is the husband is not triggered, so he's very neutral about what's going on.
mm,
So he doesn't. So he says the husband saying the wife is being too sensitive
mm.
because she's feeling the trigger and he's not.
Yeah, yeah. So it hasn't been an issue for him in the
Yeah,
past, or he doesn't
yeah,
feel judgment or
yeah. So
right.
if what she's feeling is disrespect in the moment, then that's something that maybe she never got away with that when she was a kid. So she's feeling, well, why should my daughter be? So again, what we talked about, it's about the
Yeah.
triggers and shelving that.
Mm,
Think about that later. Like it's come up, this disrespect's come up for her.
yeah.
So to deal with that in her own time, but in the here and the now,
Yeah.
listening to the undercurrent of what, because like we talked about before, the issue is never the issue. Have a look at what is the message that the child is trying to get across, and they're probably doing a really crap job at it, and it's coming across
As
angry or insolent or however.
mm,
Yeah. So just take all the emotion out of it. What are they asking for? Or what do they want?
yeah.
And
Yeah.
then deal with that in a really calm way.
Yep.
So that's showing them, that's a boundary, that's showing them how I'll be talked to. Like, I'm not going to engage in a back and forth about this.
Mm,
Let's just address the actual issue here.
yeah, the actual issue. So and when you speak to me respectfully, then we'll talk about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, not engaging in that. Yeah,
Yeah.
obviously.
Like my daughter will say things like, oh, what's an example? Like she'll say, oh, can we have something good for dinner?
Oh,
I'm like, oh, whoa. And I said, okay, I know you didn't mean to sound awful. So can you say
disrespectful,
that
isn't it?
in a way that's not going to upset me, please? Because I was
Yeah,
about to launch into do you know what it's like to meal prep, to plan
yeah,
the
exactly.
emotional
Yeah,
crap that goes along with providing 5 meals a week
yeah,
for a
a
family of
day.
five that all have different tastes? I'm like,
Yeah,
oh my God, don't get me
hmm
started, right? And so
yeah.
I just looked at her going like, processing that, going, you've got no idea. I said, can you
Yeah.
say that in a way that's not going to make me cry?
Hmm.
And she said, oh, Mum, would it be all right if we had spaghetti tonight? Because everyone loves that. I said, oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Decision made. She
Yes.
said it. Great. Okay. Bloody spaghetti again, but that's fine. Okay. So
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
everyone eats it.
Yeah.
It's quick and easy. I've always got it like the ingredients at hand. It's
Yeah.
one of
Yeah.
those things. So it's just asking her, like, and that's something Jefferson Fisher will say as well, is like, I know you didn't mean to come across that way. So can you say that in a way that's not going to upset me?
Yeah, yeah. I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I love how he calls people out. It's like, did you mean to sound really unkind then?
Mm.
And they'll either go, oh shit, I've been caught out, or they'll go, oh God, no, sorry, I didn't mean it to
Yeah,
come
they'll
across,
backpedal. Yeah.
because they genuinely didn't want it to sound the way that it
Yeah,
came.
they forgot to put their filter on.
Yeah. It's funny, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Oh,
Shall we wrap that one up?
yeah. We've been on for a little while now, haven't
We
we?
have now.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
All
Well, that
right.
was a good
That was
conversation.
a juicy one. That was good. I think we
Yeah,
covered a
yeah,
lot there.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, for sure. And then, of course, if she had to talk to the husband about him telling her that she's sensitive, you always use the formula, I feel because you did that, you just invalidated my feelings. So, yeah,
Mm,
I feel disrespected by you actually because you
mm,
just invalidated everything I felt about it. So, what I need from you is a little bit more understanding, a little
mm,
bit more compassion.
mm.
Maybe instead of that. There you go. That just fixed
There you
that.
go.
Boom.
You've just put a nice little bow on that. Thank you.
Cherry on top. Done.
Done. Excellent. All right, my love.
All right, happy listeners. Hope you enjoyed that, y'all.
Yes. Give us
Please,
scenarios. Give us feedback. Give us.
and yeah, give us
Tell us
a
what you
comment.
want.
Did you enjoy that? Do you have anything else to add to that conversation as well? Did you hear us talking and go, actually, what I would have done is this? Tell us. We
Or
want to
just go.
know.
Or share. Like, oh yeah, I remember losing my shit at my daughter, and then feeling like crap afterwards, and then the whole, crawling back and trying to start. It can start a whole cycle, right? So
Oh, 100%.
share your stories with us if you want. If you want to start a conversation, yeah,
Yep. We
we're
want to
here
hear.
for it.
Absolutely. 100%. All good. All right, love muffins. We will see you in another week or two. We'll
Yeah.
finish it at 11, 11, 11, or 1, 11, 11. Hang on, 8, 9, 10, and stop.